In England, the Reform UK party has won a parliamentary by-election in the northwest of the country by just 6 votes. It's also gained hundreds of new council seats, with party leader Nigel Farage warning that it's the beginning of the end of the Conservative Party. Well, our London correspondent Tommy Meskell joins us now. And Tommy, are the Conservatives and indeed Labour now both a little nervous following the march of reform last night?
Yeah, Ray, there's a deep sense of unease in both parties given the scale of the victory for Reform UK, who have won almost 600 new council seats. The Conservatives, meanwhile, have lost almost 600 council seats. The party leader, Kemi Badenoch, was actually speaking in the past short while, and she described today as a disappointing result, but also insisted that she was determined to win back public trust. Labour, meanwhile, today are arguing that many of these elections were taking place in areas where they don't traditionally do well. Nevertheless, results like that by-election are a big disappointment for the party, and they too are losing votes to Reform UK. Now, it's been a better day for the Liberal Democrats. They are up almost around 130 seats. The Greens are also up around 40 seats, but it is Reform UK that are making the headlines. Here is a look back on how the day has unfolded so far. It was always said that this by-election would be a tight race. In the end, just 6 votes separated Reform UK from the Labour Party in this North West England constituency.
The narrative around everything I've ever done in politics is that somehow I'm sort of a splinter, a fringe off the Conservative Party. That's been disproved tonight in a very, very big way.
And the good news kept rolling for Reform as it won 2 mayoral elections, including Greater Lincolnshire, with a former Tory minister as its candidate.
And I do hereby declare that the said Andrea Marie Jenkins is duly elected as mayor.
This afternoon, some Reform voters explained why they backed the party.
All the immigration, yeah, and we hope that Reform will be able to do better than what these Labour and Conservative have done.
Reform, because I think that they'll promise exactly what they says that will do.
I think, quite honestly, the world is in such a mess at the moment that I defy anybody to sort it.
Labour has won 3 mayoral contests today, followed closely in each one though by Reform in second place. The elections pose serious questions for both the Conservatives and Labour. Today, the Prime Minister gave his reaction.
The message I take out of these results is that we need to go further and faster with change. People need to see and feel that change.
Hundreds of council seats have been won by Reform today. Smaller parties like the Liberal Democrats and the Greens have also made gains in an election that could signal a major shift in British politics. Polling experts will tell you, Ray, that in focus groups they've been holding in recent days, the main feeling coming across has been one of disillusionment. People have lost faith with the Conservative Party, they've now lost faith with the Labour Party, and now they're giving a chance to Reform UK. And after today, many are saying that Nigel Farage really does have a prospect of becoming Prime Minister in a few years' time. But Reform is in many ways an untested party. Now that is about to change because they now lead several councils across England. They have won 2 mayoral elections, so soon they will have a record to stand over, and you can be sure that those 2 other main parties will be scrutinising that closely.
Well, for the latest on the English local elections, we're joined from London by Alva Ray, journalist and associate editor with Bloomberg. Alva, thanks so much for joining us this evening. I think counting has almost wrapped up in most of these elections. Let's talk first of all about the by-election. Governments rarely win a by-election, but I think the real story coming out of that was that Reform took the seat. It now has 5 MPs. And last night just saw the rise of Nigel Farage's party, didn't it?
Yeah, you are right to add that health warning, because it is true that governments and incumbent governments do often lose by-elections and then go on to win the next general election. So in a way, this is quite normal, and yet it doesn't feel so normal because, as you say, Nigel Farage's party last night and all through today have just seen massive gains across the board. So as you say, we've had this Westminster by-election, but also these local councils and mayoral results that we'll come on to. And he overturned about nearly a 15,000 majority. This very, very safe Labour seat near Liverpool. to clinch it by only 6 votes, and there was a recount, very, very close, but still a big scare to Labour, and then that backed up by all those gains in councils and mayoralties, and even in places where they didn't win, Reform are coming a very strong second, which we haven't really seen before.
Yeah, you mentioned that Reform now has its first mayor. In fact, it has 2 of them, and it did come second in many of those contests. Is that going to be a worry to the Tory party?
Yeah, huge worry to the Tory party, and then also a bit of a worry for the Labour Party. These local results, these local contests didn't take place across all of England. So they were, as Tommy Mescal said in his report, more places where you would expect the Tories to do well. So we saw huge Tory losses. The last time these seats were fought was in 2021. So the high water mark of Boris Johnson and his vaccine bounce. So they kind of knew that they had far to fall, but they really have fallen very far. As Tommy was saying, they've lost about 600 council seats, and Reform have gained 600. It's also been a very good day and night for the Liberal Democrats and for the Green Party. So really a good day for smaller parties, and really quite a big blow to both of the 2 traditional dominant parties in British politics. You're right to ask about the Conservatives in particular, because Kemi Badenoch has been Tory leader for 6 months now. It's the anniversary today. And, there were rumblings before this about her leadership and whether she will lead the Tories into the next general election. I think that these results have only reignited that within the party.
And what is the overall picture on the councils, Alva? Which parties took the most seats, and who did they take them from?
So Reform have done really well. They've so far, counting hasn't quite finished. We've a few more to declare, but they've gained about 586 new council seats, and they've taken overall control of Durham Council, really, again, like a really traditional Labour heartland seat, former mining community. They've taken overall control of that, mostly at the expense of the Conservatives, but also the expense of Labour, even though Labour weren't defending as many. A really terrible night for Kemi Badenoch, huge Tory losses of around 600. But a great result for the Liberal Democrats in some southern parts of the country, and some pretty good results for the Greens as well. And coming from a smaller base, they're now on 74 council seats. That's up 42. So a great night for the smaller parties, but a kind of an explosion, just pulling apart the normal 2-party dominance in British politics. And we've heard Keir Starmer saying he's disappointed and that he will move faster for change. But for now, Alva Ray, we're out of time. So Associate Editor of Bloomberg, Alva Ray, thank you for speaking to us on 6-1.